Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitz TV here, aka G33. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are all staying well, staying healthy. So today on the channel, we're gonna be talking about the Dragon Ball Super manga, basically focusing on Dragon Ball Super manga chapter 82 and the aftermath. We are slowly getting towards the end game here of the Granola the Survivor arc. You know, a lot happened last chapter, but some people would say not a lot did happen. You know, it depends on how you look at it. But we're going to be talking about all the big things, because in my opinion, this was not only a big chapter for the Dragon Ball Super manga, but it was one of the biggest chapters you know, that we've seen in a long time, based off one thing that happened. And of course, I'm talking about Goku remembering his final moments with Bardock and Gine on planet Vegeta. But we'll get to that. I want to talk about some of the other stuff that happened first. And I got a guest with me today. I want to introduce the homie Jordan, aka Jordan the Dragonlee. I will make sure to leave his channel in the description down below. But Jordan, say what's up to the people.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
So yes, we're going to talk about, you know, the DBS manga. And, you know, Jordan, I think you have a very unique perspective on the DBS manga, especially with some of the things that you say on Twitter. Make sure to follow Jordan on Twitter as well. I'll make sure to put that there so you guys can enjoy the tweets and the content and his unique takes and perspective on some of these things. But yes, so Jordan, the first thing I want to ask you, what did you think of the chapter?
I really enjoyed it. I feel like this particular chapter. See, I enjoy the original Dragon Ball a lot more than I guess the average Dragon Ball fan. A lot of people, I think it's you know, amongst the average fan, they kind of prefer Dragon Ball Z, which I understand why. You know, Dragon Ball Z had a wider reach, you know, whenever it came out. But this chapter seemed like they've been trying to capture the essence of the original Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z together in Super for a really long time. And I feel like this chapter was like the first time they ever kind of executed it correctly, if that makes any sense. So like, I enjoyed this chapter a lot.
Yeah, you know, I say this all the time, and, you know, I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, but me personally, I am a big Goku fan, but I think that, you know, the best chapters that we get in Super are the chapters that are more focused on Goku. And, you know, I understand, yes, he's the main character of the franchise and the show as a whole, but I don't know, I just feel like Toriyama and Torotaro, when they focus mainly on Goku for a couple chapters, it just, you know, that's where you get the best in terms of fighting, in terms of big moments, you know. And these last couple chapters, I would say, from the end of, or from the midpoint of chapter 81 to you know, through this chapter, it's mainly the focus has been Goku and Gas, with, you know, Bardock mixed in, a little bit of Granola, but that's been the big focus. And I think they've done a good job. It's not perfect, of course, but I think they've done you know, a good job, you know, so far with Goku and Gas. And let's get into that a little bit. So, you know, I know one thing that was big, with especially in this chapter, as Goku and Gas continued their battle, we saw that maybe, you know, Gas was acting a little bit like a man-child in a way. And so, Jordan, I want to ask you, how did you think, what was your thoughts on, you know, Gas and, you know, the way he was perceived in this chapter? And what did you also think about, you know, the fight continuing between Goku and Gas?
Well, I thought the fight was really good. I wasn't really surprised that they did what they did with Gas, because it kind of fits his personality. I mean, from the time that his character was introduced, you know, we've seen him as somebody who's insecure, right? He lost to Bardock a long time ago. He doesn't like that Granola kind of took his place in his crew. So like, ever since we've been introduced to him, he's kind of, you know, that aspect of his personality has been like the highlight of his personality. So, you know, it didn't shock me at all that they further showed you that he's just an insecure child on the inside, because I don't think that Gas is actually really the main villain. I think he's kind of being victimized in a sense within the story. You know, this chapter you saw Alec call him an idiot, right? you can blatantly see that Alec is just manipulating him, and he actually doesn't have the faith in him that he claims he does. So I don't see Gas as the big bad. So it didn't really bother me that they, highlighted that aspect of his personality. Also, I really enjoy because Goku himself, he's a really childlike character, and I really like that Goku's like this pure-hearted guy who's trying to help, basically like another childlike character who's kind of lost and being taken advantage of, kind of find freedom in a way. Like the way the interaction between the two characters has been very enjoyable for me. Um, the last chapter, whenever Gas was trying to piss off Goku, I thought that was really interesting because it kind of falls in line with his training, trying to master Ultra Instinct. But in this chapter, I like how they turned around and they used Goku trying to upset Gas as a means of like creating comedy and Goku further breaking down Gas's ego. It's a way more creative writing technique than people give it credit for, from a literary standpoint. Like it's entertaining and it's consistent and it's not, repetitive in that sense. Um, you know, I really enjoyed it, and it says a lot about Gas's character. Again, you know, it's kind of a parallel to Goku because Goku, he's very childlike, and so is Gas, but he's more like he's got a chip on his shoulder, right? Also, earlier in the arc, it was established that Gas kind of wanted to take Frieza's place in a way, and the fact that the crime syndicate of the galaxy looks down on him and treats him the way he does, it kind of adds to his character in the sense that it makes the journey of him trying to replace Frieza that much more relevant because he's kind of like the lowest of the low amongst the villains in the galaxy, right? So it makes his journey to the top that much more relevant. The fact that he used to be just this sniveling kid who's like basically a slave to his brother. Overall, this just gave us a better idea of Gas's character. And I really like that. And I was talking about this on Twitter. A lot of people just, they don't remember the fact that Goku is based on a trickster god. And Goku kind of like tricks people into bettering themselves so he can better himself. And I really like that, Goku is trying to, with pure intentions, of course, manipulate Gas into bettering himself when Alec is a character who has been manipulating Gas for so long. It's a really cool dynamic that there's like these two strings tugging on Gas and trying to push him in two different directions.
Yeah, definitely. I like the way you put it. One moment and one piece of dialogue that really sticks out to me is when Goku mentions Raditz, right? You know, Goku almost never talks about, early DBZ and his brother. Never does. Yeah, I know it's a in terms of the more grand story of Dragon Ball, right? And all the events that take place. Raditz, compared to like Frieza and Cell and Buu, isn't that big, but still. I loved how they threw out in that little like nugget all the way back. Goku remembering how his brother, tried to kill him back in the day. So
Well, it goes even deeper than that though if you think about it because Raditz was actually there to grab Goku up and use him as like a tool, right?
mhm.
He wanted to kind of manipulate Goku in the same way that Alec is trying to manipulate Gas. So it's a very interesting
Yeah,
dynamic. It's a very interesting add to the story to bring up Raditz.
yeah. I look, I'm not gonna sit here and say that Gas is a good guy. He's not, but you
No,
know,
no, no.
clearly Alec is the the evil guy. He I think after just seeing what Alec did to Granola last chapter, clearly Alec's the one, and Gas is under his influence. If Gas was under his influence, what kind of character would Gas be? I don't know. Maybe that's something that might be looked at in the future. Because before this chapter, if I'm being honest, I thought I was leaning more towards, all right, they're gonna defeat Gas at some point, maybe even kill him, and then maybe that leads into something else with Alec, right? I was thinking of all these different things. Maybe Alec, teams up with Frieza to go after Goku and Vegeta. I don't know, because we don't know what's going to be the next arc. But now that I
Yeah.
think of it more, I'm and we'll get into this a little bit later, but I'm just thinking maybe, Gas survives this arc. Maybe Goku's seeing like, hey, Gas isn't as bad as I think it is. He's just, influenced by the wrong guy. Alec doesn't really, care about Gas as much as Gas may think. And maybe what might happen at the end of the day is something happens in the next couple chapters where, Gas, something happens where Gas sees Alec, doesn't have my back as much as I think. He's just using me. And maybe
Well, think about it. Think about it this way: Goku has tried that twice, right?
Yep.
He tried it with Moro and it didn't work.
Yep.
He tried it with Granola and it didn't work. Chances are he's going to try it again and it's going to work. I really doubt, from a writing perspective, that if Goku does try that again, that they're going to punish him for doing that again. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it it creates a dynamic that isn't complementary to Goku's character or the message that they're trying to portray, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the chances are it will work out that way, and not just because of that, but because it's poetic in the sense that Gas, Alec is this guy who thinks he's got it all figured out. He's like a master manipulator, and he just, he's always got the answer for everything, and that was until he messed with the Dragon Balls. The Dragon Balls, they have a reputation for, biting you in the ass if you make a selfish wish. They just have a reputation for that. So I feel like that's going to be Alec's downfall, and Gas is a part of that. You know.
Yeah, definitely. That is, one way to look at it, and we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But I think, either way, I'll say this. I don't think both Alec and Gas are gonna die at the end. I think one is gonna survive. One is gonna survive, and that's gonna be, that will lead into something else. That's one of my predictions. I don't know who, but that's the way I see this going. Either Alec's gonna die and Gas is gonna survive, or Gas is gonna survive, or Gas is gonna die and then Alec will survive. Maki and Oyo, they don't really matter as much, in my opinion. This is more about Alec and Gas. But we'll have to see where this goes. One of my things I really enjoyed about this chapter as well is Goku from not just a fighting perspective, but from a character perspective, right? Goku plays defense for Goku plays defense throughout this entire fight. And a lot of people when I first say this, they might be like, what are you talking about? Goku beats Gas in this chapter. Because you have to look at what Goku's goal was. Goku's goal wasn't to knock out Gas or kill him or anything like that. Goku's goal was to buy time, and he also wanted to make a point to Gas that, hey, you have access to all these techniques, but but it takes a level. There's a certain level of training and mastery that goes into these techniques that you don't have, that I do, and Goku proves that with instant transmission. So he's able to get Gas, to the other side of the universe where Whis is, and he's able to buy a really good amount of time. So, what did you think about that and Goku's showcase of instant transmission and those things?
I think it was a genius move on Goku's part, and I also thought it was a genius move on Toyotaro and Toriyama's part, because you know, I'm a outlier in the sense that I really appreciate gags and comedy and things of that nature within Dragon Ball. I hate Dragon Ball void of those things. I think it's part of what makes Dragon Ball so great. Like, my favorite version of Goku throughout the entire series is Goku when he first grows up in the original Dragon Ball, when he's fighting Tien and Piccolo, and like his attitude in those fights. Like, that's my favorite version of him ever. Like, the way he's characterized in those fights. That's whenever, like, I really, that hit home for me. I always liked that version of Goku's character. So, and this fight kind of reminded me of that era of Goku. It was like, it reminded me of the era of Goku where he he had that cheeky confidence, and it paid off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because in a lot of instances in Dragon Ball Z and in Super, he'll have that cheeky confidence, but you know, uh, the stakes are so high and the plot demands that things get worse to such a degree that it seems like he's punished for being that way rather than rewarded. And in this chapter, like they really rewarded him for being that way, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, definitely. You know, one panel that sticks out to me, and I'm looking at it on my screen right now, is the when Goku gets back to Planet Cereal, and Maki and Oil are about to, pounce on Monito and Granola, and Goku just stares back at them like what the hell you think you're doing? You know what I mean? He
Yeah,
just gives
everybody
them
loved that panel.
he
That
gives
was a
them the
good
like
panel.
yeah the like the stare of death. Like I can take you out in the second, you know. And I also loved how they had that little side panel after like Goku and the others, they leave to go take shelter at Monito's place, and Gas is flying through space, which is actually pretty damn cool because you almost never see
Yeah,
that.
he's super angry. Yeah, I
Yep,
love that.
I love that little thing. Alex like, yeah, we can't beat that Saiyan on our own, you know. Like we need Gas. Yeah, so moving into that, I think one of the big moments of this chapter is this conversation with Goku and Whis, right? So, and then Whis is telling Goku, hey, Gas will be back in about 20 minutes Earth time. And he's asking Goku, like, how's your training? How's your training bear fruit? And I think the big thing was, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the big thing that Whis was trying to get Goku to master or improve on is using Ultra Instinct, in his normal form, right? And stop,
Yeah.
relying on it as just a transformation, but you learning how to use it in his normal form along with his other forms would get rid of that stamina drain and time limit he would have when he used it in this silver hair form. So the one of the big lines that I was talking about, I know you were talking about, is Whis telling Goku, not only it's up to you to discover your own unique version of Ultra Instinct, but also when Whis asks Goku deep down, what are you really? So I want to get your thoughts on this because I loved what you said on Twitter about this.
Okay, well, Goku is special because he was a Saiyan raised on Earth. That's something that was already established in the Namek saga, right? Um, he is a Saiyan who developed a nature that was different than the rest of the Saiyans, and that's what set him apart from you know uh the rest of the Saiyans, and that's the reason he became a Super Saiyan, and that's the reason he could defeat Frieza because he was a pure-hearted Saiyan, and it's always been said that he was a pure-hearted Saiyan and that he was like an exception amongst his race because he was a pure-hearted Saiyan. And that's part of the reason that Goku took pride as a Saiyan on Namek is because he realized that about himself, and he took pride in that. He took pride that he was the Saiyan that was chosen to, take down Frieza and avenge the Saiyans because unlike the rest of them, he was free of their sins, right? So, you know, he already knows that he's special in that way, right? But what he doesn't understand is that he is actually the pinnacle of his own race. So like you got Saiyans like Broly, when we see Broly turn Super Saiyan, he has like no control over himself, right?
Mhm.
He's born that way. He's a mutant, right? He's born to where like when he becomes a Super Saiyan, like he can't control himself. Goku earned that. Goku earned being able to become a Super Saiyan. And not only did he earn it, but he had the nature, you know, to, suitable to actually control it more than the average Saiyan whenever he became a Super Saiyan. They highlight this through Goku being able to have mercy on Frieza, even though he was a Super Saiyan. Like when he first became a Super Saiyan, he straight up told Gohan to leave because he didn't know how well he was going to be able to control himself, right? And then by the end of that fight, he's so pure-hearted that he was really an example of someone who could really control that rage and that anger, and we see later on in the Cell Saga that when Vegeta first becomes a Super Saiyan, he straight up embraces that anger and uses it to his advantage. He he talks about how Super Saiyan puts you in like this ecstatic state whenever he's fighting Android 19, and how it makes him more ruthless than he usually is. So when he first became a Super Saiyan, he embraced it wholeheartedly, whereas Goku, he was able to control it. And Goku isn't just special because he was a Saiyan raised on Earth. That's not the reason he's special. He's special because he is actually an example of what the Saiyans have the potential to be once they become completely pure-hearted and, basically reach their maximum potential as an instinctual being. And I think that that's basically what Goku is going to figure out. Like the Saiyans, like in there's been this very slow process play out before our eyes where Goku is slowly figuring this out. He's slowly figuring out that all the Saiyans had the potential to be like him. You know, um, whenever he first, talked to Vegeta on Namek, and Vegeta talked about how he was a victim under Frieza's rule. That's the reason he got so upset and he was so willing to fight for the Saiyans, because he realized that they were victims of their environment and their situation. And then, you know, when he met Broly reinforced that idea even more because Goku was watching him be manipulated before his eyes, and he knew deep down that he wasn't bad. So that reinforced this idea in Goku's mind, you know, not to mention how ridiculously strong Broly was, you know. It just like reinvigorated his interest in the Saiyan race, right? And then so basically what's going to happen here, and I know people are really concerned that like this is going to change Goku's character a lot, and it's not. It's basically just Goku reaching the pinnacle of the pride that he could have in his race. That's what all this is leading up to. Kind of like how, Vegeta is supposed to like conquer his guilt. Goku needs Saiyan pride in order to um be able to control Ultra Instinct to the nth degree. He needs to know himself. He needs to know that he's an example of something that he should be ridiculously proud of, right? And it's kind of a play on, Vegeta and Goku themselves, because Goku, he is completely severed from the situation on planet Vegeta. He is completely separate from it. From the time he was a child, he was sent to Earth, and he doesn't have any of the sins of those Saiyans on his conscience, or he's completely free of that. So Vegeta needs that. Vegeta needs to be completely free of the sins of his people, just like Goku. And Vegeta, he's always used his Saiyan pride as his source of power and the source, he's always used that to evolve. And now they're taking that and they're applying it to Goku and using that to allow him to evolve. So it's kind of a play on each other's strengths in a sense. Like you know, it's just like whenever Goku took pride from Vegeta on Namek. It's kind of a repeat of that concept, but it's reinforcing it to the highest degree, because Bardock as a character, the way he's designed, not only is he a character that's designed to make Goku proud of the Saiyans because his father literally prevented him, like he's the only reason that he's alive, right? And Goku's had this like false perception of the Saiyans for so long. So the idea that his father, saved his life is it's a huge statement about the Saiyan race in itself, right? And then Vegeta, he's always been ashamed that the Saiyans didn't stand up for themselves and that they didn't fit his standards. And Bardock is a character that's designed to basically be a character that Vegeta and Goku both would idolize.
Yep, definitely. Uh, to me, let me run something by you. Do you remember that Dragon Ball Heroes episode? And I know, yeah, I'm bringing Dragon Ball Heroes in, but do you remember that episode where Vegeta was talking about the true nature of the Saiyan race right before he got that new transformation? Do you think part of that kind of applies here with
Yes.
Goku? Okay.
100%. 100%. That whole speech is just a repeat of what Vegeta learned. I love that some people say that that scene's a gag scene because it's most definitely not. Heroes is telling you that it's not a gag scene. In the Buu saga, whenever Vegeta is giving that speech, that is Vegeta realizing that Goku is an example of the true nature of the Saiyans. That's what he's realizing in that second. He's real. He's like, I do everything to feed my ego. I do, to puff up my pride. You just do everything to get stronger, and that's the true nature of the Saiyans. So that's kind of what that speech is all about, and it definitely feeds into what's going on with Goku and Ultra Instinct right now.
Yeah, and speaking of Ultra Instinct, I think I think we'll both agree here. UI Goku is coming. It's coming. I don't know. I think Goku and
100%.
Vegeta will be able to regain some of their stamina from this intermission, right? And
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. You know, I don't know if they'll be able to get back the full power or anything like that, unless there's some kind of magic.
Vegeta has went into Ultra Ego with no energy 3 or 4 times now.
Exactly.
And Granola actually pointed that out in one of the previous chapters, and Vegeta's like, I told you that this power is unbounded. So what that tells me is it doesn't matter how low on energy Goku or Vegeta are. If they can tap into these mindsets, they can get chi from these transformations. I don't think these transformations work like the other transformations where they just like multiply the chi you have. It's almost like by taking on these mindsets, you're like rewarded with the key. It's like it is your own chi, but it's just like the chi is the result of the mindset rather than multiplying your own power or so forth. Which makes sense because Goku's body had to be able to withstand being able to use Ultra Instinct, which implies that the amount of power that it provides you isn't dependent on your strength as an individual, right?
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. So, do you think? Because I think there was a lot of people that said, "Oh, is Goku about to get a new form of UI, like a new transformation?" I don't think that at all. But what do you think is this unique version of Ultra Instinct that Whis was telling Goku that he needs to discover?
I think it feeds into Super Saiyan. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's like a hybrid form or anything like that in the sense that it's going to look different or anything. But Super Saiyan is an instinctual transformation in itself, and it comes from a pure desire to protect people, and basically the thing that Gas has been telling Goku that he's missing, like the fire in his eyes, you know, that's what's about to be added to Ultra Instinct.
Yeah.
So he's going to be able to go on the offensive because he's gonna have that same it's the same thing that made Bardock be able to defeat Gas. It's that same power boost that comes from, the pure desire to protect people, and Goku's it's almost like, so the emotions that trigger Super Saiyan cause a giant boost in your power, right?
Yep.
Well, what if you can control those emotions, right?
Mm.
What if you get that boost from what if you're put in a situation where you would get that boost, but the emotions just roll right off your shoulders? You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like a rage boost, but it's kind of the opposite in a sense, where it's like it's that jarring shock kind of. You see what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
Ultra Instinct is triggered by a jarring shock to your emotions, and it's like that within Ultra Instinct itself. So he's already in Ultra Instinct, but he's going to experience a jarring shock while already in Ultra Instinct.
Mm. And being able to control that, he's going to be able to go on a more offensive level, the counter gas.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're really hinting at Goku going on the offensive, and and Gas keeps, he keeps hinting at what Goku's missing to be able to defeat Gas, right?
Yep.
So I think that's what we're gonna get. We're gonna get Goku, you know, using Ultra Instinct, but he's gonna have that same it's kind of like what he did in the moral arc, but it's going to be way more offensive. He's just going to be, I think it's basically going to be like an offensive Ultra Instinct kind of. Like he's just going to be, rather than just staying on the defensive and, you know, allowing his body to just defend him. Because if you remember when he fought Moro, he rarely went on the defensive.
Yep.
He just let Moro do his thing, and he just let his body do his thing, and that's the reason that he was constantly on the defense, because he was just letting Ultra Instinct do its magic. But you know, whenever a Saiyan goes Super Saiyan, it's almost like their body has a mind of its own, and it just jumps in and attacks.
Yep.
Right. So it's kind of like that whole thing, but within Ultra Instinct. Like I said, it's kind of like an offensive aspect of Ultra Instinct,
Yeah, I
fueled
see.
by yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And if that is the case, oh man, it's gonna be hype. Ooh, cannot wait. But
Yeah.
moving right along here. So once Goku and the others finally get to Monito's house, we get a pretty big moment. First off, Monito gives Goku Bardock's scouter, and I love how how Monito's like. First of all, I love how Monito calls Goku, son of Bardock. Like that's pretty cool. And then
Yes.
Monito says it's yours now by all right, and then we get that panel of Goku saying like, "Wow, this was my dad's," and then Vegeta putting on the scouter again, which is
Yes.
giving people
Oh,
DBZ
man.
vibes. I love that.
Oh,
That was pretty damn cool.
it was
And
just
yeah,
banger after banger, bro. It was awesome.
exactly. And then we see Oatmeal. He's able to fix the scouter up and then get it working, and he connects it to his speakers, and then we get in my opinion one of the biggest moments, not just in this manga but in the history of DBS. Really, I think this is something that people are going to be talking about for years to come, because this is a moment that people have wanted since DBZ.
Right.
We get Goku, he hears his father's voice. I know someone was joking that, when we get the DBS anime back in the Japanese, since Nozawa voices both Bardock and Goku, it's gonna sound weird. But
That's true. That's
yep.
true.
But Goku hears his father's voice as he's fighting Gas, and then that big line, Bardock tells Monito, "You two have to stay alive," and it's a direct parallel to the last line that Bardock's giving Goku, as Bardock and Gine sent Goku when he was at that point when he was Kakarot. They sent him off planet Vegeta and sent him to Earth, and then we get to see Goku finally remembers his parents. I've wanted this since I was a little kid, and I've been a fan of Dragon Ball, and finally getting to see that moment here, it's absolutely great. I was a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, I did mark out a little bit because they go straight into the Bardock and Gas, flashback, and I'm just like, no, give me more. I want more of Goku's reaction. I know it's coming, but I was just like, they give you those two panels of Goku, just absolutely flabbergasted, finally remembering, his parents, and it's just like, wow. So, what did you think of that moment? This is something that some people love, some people hate, but what did you think of this huge moment for Goku?
I love it, but personally, I don't think that. See, most of the reason people dislike it, from what I've seen, is that people think Goku's going to have some ridiculous like character development over it, and that's not true. Goku's nature is always going to be consistent. He's always going to be this happy-go-lucky guy. He's not going to change in the sense that people think he ever will, right?
Mhm.
Uh, and so, it's not going to be character development in the sense that people just don't like the idea of Goku developing in a direction where he's trying to, resurrect his parents, or, like he develops like emotions for like people in a way that's unnatural for his character. And I understand that because I feel the same way, but I don't think that's what's happening here. I don't think this is going to be any different than Goku getting Saiyan Pride on Namek or Goku meeting Broly. It's just a continuation of that effect. It's just the peak of that effect. Goku is going to remain the same guy, but this right here is something that's been built up to since the Namek saga. And, you know, yes, I love it. I think it's awesome. And I think people kind of misconstrue what's happening in order to kind of hate on it. Like most of the people I've seen that don't like it don't actually make a good argument for why it's bad because it just doesn't seem like they're grasping the whole picture. You know, most people I know that don't like minus thinks that it changes things that it doesn't. You know, like it's just on a fundamental level, there's holes in a lot of people's complaints about all of these things. So I don't really have the same issues with it that most people have, right?
Mhm. Definitely. You know, look, I know a lot of people. Some people like fan service, and some people hate. I have been talking about this for years. I want Goku to reunite with his parents. I did. If they could make a great story about that, hell yeah. I don't know if this will lead to that. I don't know the future, of course. But just getting this moment, there's many of us that thought we would never get it, and just seeing it, it's just as a Dragon Ball fan, it hits deep for me, and definitely I absolutely love that they went down this direction. And I know I have a feeling I know what's coming. And I think Goku will end up defeating Gas, right? 'Cause I think the big thing with Granola's gonna be the one to take care of Elec, because Elec killed his
Yeah.
mom. That's what needs to happen, right? Vegeta will have a role in this as well, but I think with the everything they've done with the whole Bardock and Gas, right? The father, the son, right? Bardock the father, Goku the son. I think Goku using UI, whatever this UI is, like we've been talking about, I think Goku will defeat Gas. And then
Yeah.
I think we are getting, I'm Kakarot, son of Bardock. I think that's coming. And, I if it does happen, I think it's gonna be absolute hype. We've heard, I'm Goku, Saiyan raised on planet Earth. And we all remember when we saw the Broly movie, how amazing it was to see Goku refer to himself as Kakarot, to Broly at the end of the movie. But I think it's gonna hit even deeper if we get Goku saying, I'm Kakarot, son of Bardock,
Yeah.
fully embracing that same pride, now that he fully kind of knows himself, right? In a way. And I think it's great. What do you think about that?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's kind of what people are missing here is the fact that Goku is Kakarot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I've seen people be like, "Oh, Goku knows who he is. He's a Saiyan raised on Earth," and that's true. He is a Saiyan raised on Earth, but he's also Kakarot. And the only thing I'm not looking forward to when it comes to all that is people jumping into conclusions and thinking because Goku's become Kakarot, like in the sense that he's changed as a character, and that's just not true.
Mm-hmm.
He's just proud of being who he is.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
And um, yeah, I think that that is hype, and it probably is more than likely coming.
Oh my,
Goku,
yes.
Goku, his whole thing, what's really interesting about this is that Bardock, he's got the whole ego breaker thing. Like he's got the whole cuz like when Goku first became Super Saiyan, like that they were really playing on Goku's ability to shatter somebody's ego whenever he first fought Frieza. Like he literally dropped out of Super Saiyan and was like, just leave because I've already destroyed you. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
you used every trick in the book. I've completely shattered your ego. Just leave and come back when you think you can win or give me a good fight, right? So that's kind of a personality trait that comes with, that righteous anger that comes from like Super Saiyan, right? Um, you know, that is kind of what I see what Bardock did to Gas. I don't think Bardock became a Super Saiyan because I don't think he's strong enough, but Bardock basically shattered Gas's ego, and that was like the start of the process, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then Goku gets sent to Earth unbeknownst to Gas, and if you think about all this playing out behind the scenes, and you pretend that Gas is like a character that's existed within the series the entire time, this gets very interesting because Bardock shatters Gas's ego. Gas spends all of these years training to, redeem himself. Meanwhile, Goku lands on Earth. Goku is found by Grandpa Gohan. Grandpa Gohan you know, realizes he's a little beast and that, he's going to be really hard to tame. And if it wasn't for the fact that he was a martial artist, he probably never would have had a chance of taming him anyway. And then he hits his head and he does tame him. And Goku becomes like him in the sense that he's a master of taming beasts, right? So Goku takes what the personality traits that he had imprinted onto him on Earth and he brings them all the way to Gas. So Bardock starts the process and Goku ends it. And the only reason he's capable of ending it is because he was sent to Earth and because he became the person that he did. So when you think about it from that perspective, it makes the story very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then moving in, Bardock and Gas, which takes place in the last couple pages of this chapter, we're finally getting to see the fight. First off, just seeing Bardock fight finally in the manga is great to see. This is something we didn't really get to see in DBZ, right? And at least in the manga form, right? Just seeing Bardock on the black and white pages, just throwing hands officially.
It's super hype, dude.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah. He pulls out a move straight from Xenoverse, which if that doesn't tell you that Toriyama are paying attention, I don't know what is. He legit pulls a move straight out of Xenoverse and Fighters, but and it is kind of funny seeing like Bardock, who is pretty big, going up against small puny Gas, but still we're gonna finally see how did Bardock defeat Gas. One thing I saw people note is a couple chapters ago when Gas was in that berserk state and when Goku threw that punch and Gas had a flashback to when he was fighting Bardock. Is that Bardock does have like this large aura in front of him, so Bardock is using his full power, right? I've heard some people say, oh, it's Bardock, when Super Saiyan, which I don't think that, or, Bardock's just, tremendously strong. I've heard some people say that Bardock's gonna channel the basic kind of what Broly did in the Broly movie, like kind of channeled the grade 8 power into, his normal form. What do you think, how do you think Bardock, defeats Gas? 'Cause I think we're gonna get that in the next chapter, and what kind of power does Bardock use to achieve this victory?
Look at the first page, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the first page of the Bardock fight, and do you see who's standing there? It's Monito and Granola. I don't think that that's a coincidence, okay? I think what's going to happen is Gas is not going to be strong enough to defeat Bardock without unleashing his instinct form, right? Whenever he releases his instinct form, he's going to attack Granola. Bardock is going to look down at Granola and see Goku in Granola. And it's going to trigger him. It's going to trigger him into a rage boost, kind of like the My Bulma scene, with Vegeta. And he's going to use the same attack that he used on Planet Vegeta to try and defend the Saiyans from Frieza, but he's going to use it on Gas, and it's going to work. That's what I think is going to happen. I think people think it's either going to be a technique or it's going to be a transformation. I think it's kind of both. It's not necessarily a transformation. It's just that same, because if Bardock was going to become a Super Saiyan, he would have done it when Weasley died, right?
Yep.
He would have. That was the perfect opportunity for him, and he did get a rage boost when Weasley died. We did see that, he just didn't transform into a Super Saiyan. He's not strong enough to become a Super Saiyan. I think that's what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Bardock is strong enough to become a Super Saiyan. I think he can benefit from the same rage that triggers Super Saiyan, the same instinct to protect other people, and that is what's going to defeat Gas, because that plays into what Goku needs to create his own version of Ultra Instinct.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Look, I'm just listening to what you said, and then just the thought of Bardock seeing a young Kakarot, as Gas is attacking Granola. Like, if we get that, holy shit! Like, wow, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence that Granola is still there. I think there's a reason for that in the plot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, It's just, I
Yeah,
could be
because
wrong,
yeah.
but but it's the only way I could see Bardock getting that second rage boost, or that final rage boost, I guess you could say, and it would just make so much sense if it was Goku that caused that in him.
Like yeah, and I believe Monito says like he was knocked unconscious, so he didn't see how the fight ended. So
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
like that could be big here because Bardock tells Monito, hey, like get far away, you got to survive. But Monito falls unconscious. I don't think Monito just tripped over a rock while getting away, and then that could happen. But definitely I could see Gas going after Monito and Granola, and then that triggering something in Bardock. But the cliffhanger is definitely so many different ideas, and I'm very very excited to see how it goes. But as we wrap up here, let me tell the people what you think's gonna happen here going forward. I know you've hinted at it already a lot, but so let's wrap everything up here, put a bow on it. What do you think we're gonna see in Manga Chapter 83 and going forward?
83, I think, is definitely going to be a Goku chapter. I think Goku's going to basically get his offensive Ultra Instinct. He's going to break Gas's ego and kind of, show him the light in a sense. I think Elec has also reached his limit with Gas, and we're about to see the divide between Elec and Gas.
Mm.
Um, I also think that Vegeta is going to be just as affected by Bardock as Goku. And I also think that Granola moving forward is going to use oatmeal to tap into new aspects of his abilities that he couldn't before. The only time we've seen Granola tap into a ultra instinct like state. I've got a buddy who's been pushing that theory
Oh
since,
wait, yeah.
yeah, God knows how. The only time we've ever seen him do anything like that was whenever he had oatmeal on, and oatmeal was helping him keep calm, and he was telling him where things were and stuff like that. I don't think Granola is going to use Ultra Instinct per se. I just think that him and oatmeal together are going to work together, and it's going to complement his abilities as one of the strongest in the universe in such a way that it makes him superior to what he was before. I think him and oatmeal working together is what's going to pull Granola through the rest of this arc.
Definitely, yes. I think next chapter is going to be massive. I think we're gonna get Bardock and Gas and see how that fight wrapped up. I do think once Gas gets back to playing cereal, he's gonna be in full on rage mode. You know, and definitely that could be maybe something that Goku and the others can take advantage of. Will we see UI Goku next chapter? I think it's coming in the next two chapters, regardless. You know,
Yeah.
at some point. Uh,
Yeah, I tend to get ahead of myself
oh
and
no no.
predict things next chapter that happen like 3 chapters later. That happens to me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like that happens a lot. But I still have like an idea of where all of this is going in a sense.
Yeah. I think either it's gonna be next chapter or the chapter after that. UI Goku will come back. I think UE Vegeta, Ultra Ego Vegeta, will make another appearance. I do think Renault will return to the battlefield. You know, I also still think that Monito might. I'm surprised he's made it this long, but I still think if I'm wrong, that's great. Because Monito's a cool character. But I
Well,
do.
they wouldn't bring up the effect him dying has on the Dragon Balls if it wasn't going to be relevant within the story. I agree with you 100%. But also, I don't think that they would give Elec the Dragon Radar and all of that stuff if that wasn't going to be relevant as well.
Yeah.
So there's definitely more at play here than what we think.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
definitely. But all in all, I'm loving the story right now. Just based on how this end, I've said this. I say this almost every month. I think this will probably end up being my favorite DBS manga, or maybe even my favorite DBS arc altogether. So far, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah,
So
I really like it too. It's got a lot of Star Wars vibes, and that's
yep.
kind of that kind of sold me on it from the very beginning because I really like that sci-fi element. But yeah, it's been pretty good. I've heavily enjoyed it so far. I really like that they went from a magic arc to a sci-fi arc
Yep.
because it's kind of reminiscent what happened in Dragon Ball Z with Cell and Boo, right?
Mhm.
So, but it's like backwards.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
good move on their part.
Yeah, so we'll see here. We'll see here. But other than that, guys, I want to say thank you so very much for listening. You and tuning in. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It does a lot. Also subscribe to my channel along with Jordan's channel, Jordan the Dragonlee. I'm gonna put the link to the script, or I'm gonna put the link to his channel in the description along with his Twitter, so you guys can go follow and support him. Jordan, I want to say thank you for coming on the channel. Definitely we'll have to bring you back here, as we go into these next couple chapters, man.
All right, bro. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, awesome. So yes, thank you guys for the love and support. Like I said, like this video, subscribe to me, Fitzbunk TV, and subscribe to Jordan. His links in the description. Follow us both on social media. Links are in the description down below. I'll be back with more content, more Dragon Ball Super videos in the coming days and weeks as we continue here with the Granola the Survivor arc. As always, guys, stay safe and healthy. I will see you guys later. Peace.